Uh, hello, hello everyone, and so sorry for coming a bit late. So, based on everybody requests, I've been seeing our requests from the Telegram group, seeing people saying they're still finding it challenging to really move with Python programming language. What I would just say is most of the time, all these things take a while for you to be able to really understand it and know know it well. So it's something that take time. What you just need is just like the basics. I've tried to introduce you to the basics of like Python programming, understanding basics of NumPy, pandas, and matplotlibs. And I've also shared a link to their documentation where you can try your best to read more about them to have a good understanding of what exactly they are. And the more you practice them, the more you get familiar with them. So that's just what I can say because it is something that everybody knows that it takes a while. So tonight, I'm going to start introducing us to SQL, and what I will just do with SQL will just be like basics, like introducing us to the basic things that we need to know. And after that, I think after I'm done with my live classes, I will just be sharing some maybe like more resources on the group for you to be able to try to learn more and learn further. So that you won't just be there, but the most important thing is when you learn the tools, try your best to use them to work on different projects, or just try them with few datas and all. And the more you try them, the more you get confidence of what you are learning, and the more you be sure that you've really learned what you claim you've learned. So that's just what I can say. It take time. Everybody knows that it take time. If I use the whole time to teach us, I'm still sure that there will still be some parts that some may not still understand. So, and I can't use the whole time to just that. So I'm going to share my screen now. So I will start using like W3 school as example before I try few things on. So I'm going to just work on this. So I'm just going to click on. So W3 school has like a good resources for for SQL and even Python, especially those that love reading. You see, if you click here, you will see some basic tutorials on Python. If you are a type of person that love reading, while some may love watching videos of tutorial. So if your own learning is through visuals, I will advise you to go to places like YouTube to check more videos. And I'm even planning if I can just check some YouTube channel that explain things like this, that you can follow them and subscribe to their channel and just use it to like to consolidate what you've learned. So the more you watch more, like the more you watch more videos on them, the better and clearer it becomes. And so that's just what I can say, that the more you watch them, the more you get better at it. And if you're a type of person that love reading, I think this will be for you. Like if you're a type of person that love reading, you can try a place like W3 school, just like the one I'm actually using now. So yeah, what is this is just like an intro. SQL, what does this SQL stand for? So it stands for structured query language. So the full meaning of SQL is structured query language, and it stands language for storing, manipulating, and retrieving data. So most of the tools that we've been learning so far, from like Microsoft Excel, Power BI, Python, and now SQL. All of them are used to manipulate data. They are used to clean data, to analyze data, but just like the format of data that you use for each and every one of them quite different, and the way we approach them are also different. Just like if you are working with database now, you already know that SQL will be the best option for you to use. And if we have a data in Excel format, so if the data is not too large, you can use Excel to do everything that you want to do. And if the data is larger than what Microsoft today can take, you can take it to Python programming language, or you can so you can also use SQL, but just depending on the but most importantly, anything that related to SQL are always in database. So, and we have different kind of database. We have relational, we have non-relational database. So example in each chapter, just like write SQL. So if you are trying to write a query, like just like the way when we started Python, your first code is print hello world. So once you start writing SQL code or query rather, most of the time these are just like a few sample. You see, like people will put select from something. So select is just like print statement in Python. We use it to output or get a certain information from your data set, and you have to also try to add a condition stating where you are actually getting the the data you want to fetch from. So once you are able to get that, I think is not so once you understand where the data you are trying to get is, just like this now, I'm trying to get all the data in customers. So I'm using select star means I'm working with every. So the main thing about the star, it will just be like star I select from customer, but once star is there, that shows is referring to every single details. So it's referring to every single details on that particular or inside that particular table. So it's referring to every single details. So that's why we are using this asterisk from customer. This select is just like to output your data. Then this asterisk is just like specifying, telling SQL that is every information inside the customer that you need. That's why we are using star, and it's going to bring out all the data inside. So So we have some basic examples of SQL, and this platform is actually a very great one. You can see all SQL as example and SQL quiz test. Take your test skills at so this is just like like you can try to see all the example. Oh, this one is moving from. I think it's good to just move it one after the other. So now, introduction to SQL. What is SQL? Like, what do you know or what do you understand about SQL? So what is SQL? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. So anywhere you are asked or if you are completely new, so SQL refer to structured query language. Then SQL lets you access and so SQL lets you access and manipulate database bases, and SQL become a standard of uh, American institution in 1986 and the International Organization for Standardization so in 1987. So what can SQL do? So SQL can execute query against a database. SQL can retrieve data from a database. Uh, SQL can insert record in a database. SQL can update record in a database. SQL can delete record from a database. Then SQL can create a new database. SQL can create new table in database. So SQL can create store procedure in a database. Then SQL can create view in a database. SQL can get uh, get permissions on table, procedure and view. So SQL is standard, but so that's just like the intro part of this, like seeing what is SQL and also what SQL is capable of doing, and those are things listed there. So SQL, there's some basic syntax of SQL that we need to understand, which is the most of the action you need to perform on a database are done with SQL statement. So SQL statement consists of keywords that are easy to understand. So the following SQL statement return all record from the table. So like I think I was explaining it the other time that select in SQL is just like for you to get what it's just like in form of print when we use print in Python. So that's just what select is all about. So select star from customer. If I try to run this, if I try to run it, so if we are trying to use this, so if I run this now, no, me running this particular, it's just the reason why it's able to run this is because we have like there this SQL before. There is a data inside this W3 database, so that's why I was able to use that, and I was able to get this result. So this is the data here from one to, let me see, from 1 to 91. So and you can see select star from customer. So the star here is asterisk, showing that we need all of the information in the customer from. So we are using this select star from customer just to like get all the information from the customer table. This table here is a customer table. So this table here is customer table, but we are using this star to just make sure that everything in that table is showed. Everything inside the customer table show. So if I try to clean this star and I just say select customer customer name, So now I'm trying to just get the information of instead of using star here, what I'm trying to do here is just to get information on customer name, customer, like I'm trying to get customer name, contact name from the table which is customer. I'm still also going to try this in I'm thinking of using BigQuery, but okay, I think BigQuery will be easier than then. If possible, we can use MySQL as well. So MySQL, I think MySQL is more common because most people may want to download it and get it installed on their laptop. But I may be using MySQL, or I may be using just Google query, BigQuery, which is from Google. So now, using changing this, I use select customer, then can contact name from customer, and you can see here that we can only see this customer name and contact name. So, and I can also do another thing here. I can say where, so I can also add more condition, just like customer name equals to. So if I try to run this, let me see what will happen. We can see here that we are able to filter this with this just query. Select customer name, contact name from customer where location is equals to this. So, and also if we can just change it like by adding different column to it and also specifying different condition, we'll be able to get what we are trying to do. So if I clean this now and I just add asterisk and I run this again, you will notice that using the asterisk shows every details, which is you have customer ID, customer name, which is the name, which is this, because this is the names I'm trying to. Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello? Okay, can you hear me now? Please, please, if you can hear me, just signify uh from your chat box. Okay, thank you. Because I discovered that somebody said they can't hear me. That's why I'm just trying to ask. So I'm just trying to use this today to just try to to explain some of these basics so that it's going to be easier while just trying stuff out. So now this is just like just print to output certain things from, like if you use print is just used to output your code from Python, while select here is also used to output like something in SQL query. Then you start to specify the condition, what exactly you want to do. If you want to get the whole data, like if you want to query the whole data set from the table, or you just want to query them based on the condition, you want some certain part, you want to keep some certain part, just something like that, depending on what exactly you are planning to do or you want to get from your database. So now in this tutorial, so you can see we have database table. So this is just like an example of a database with a customer ID, customer name, customer contact name, address, city and postal code and country. So this is the table for this W3 school, and you can perform different operation of this particular data. So we can check on the customer name, you can check on the contact name, you can also check on the address, you can check on the city, depending on what we really want to do, and what will help us to achieve what we want to achieve, because there are some column that will help you to achieve exactly what you are planning to achieve, or there are some rows that may help you to achieve what you are trying to achieve. So once we are able to see the whole data set, then we can just try to lay, like just try different things with it. So now I will just click on okay. The next thing is select. So what is select used for? So select is just like a statement used to select data from a database. The main purpose of select is just to select a data from a database, and you can see here run return data from the customer table. So return data from the customer table. So select customer name comma city from customer. We can see here that this particular table, the only thing that you can see that the only thing they want from this customer is just like the customer name and city. So this one is not going to give the whole it's not going to give the whole information in the table. What is just being targeted there is like getting the customer name, the city from the customer. So if I try to run this now, and you can see down here that the only thing that we have is customer names and city, and you can see that we are able to get an answer for that. So, and if I don't want it to be like this, I can just use select star instead of. So now because I have changed it and put asterisk here, so select asterisk from customer. So now we can see that everything is here. We have the customer name, the contact name, address, city, postal code. So this is just like the only thing. This is the whole lot of information. This is just like all the columns in that particular data set, and you can see them now. You can see them each column here. So if you use star, star is going to give you all the details from the database. Then you can just try to add where the data is, which is here we have the data inside the customer. So once you try to know where the data is coming from, so that you'll be able to reference it from your query, just like this now. So let's start from customer. Customer is the name of the table, or the customer is just like the table revolve around customer, and customer is like the names of the table that include customer name, contact name, address, cities and postal code. So these are just like some of the information inside the table. But if we are referencing this table wrongly, probably we are not adding the the customer name, and we added another thing. So we will not be able to access this table because the table is named customer. That's why we are trying to select all from that table, which is customer. So we also have select distinct. So what select distinct help you to do is just like when you are looking for duplicates from your Microsoft Excel. So this distinct, what distinct help us to do is to select, like is a select statement used to return only distinct value, that is value that are unique. What distinct help you to do is just to bring out some of the values that are very unique, so they are not like they are not repeated, they are not in a duplicate format. So when you use distinct, select distinct in your query, what you are trying to do is you are trying to pick the only one that are unique, like that they are not repeated. And you can see here, select all the different country from the customer table. So then select distinct country from customer. What this is trying to do is going to select the unique value from that table called customer. And if I try to run this now and see what is going to happen. So now, from the, like, we are trying to check on the distinct on the country, that is we are trying to check all the datas in the country, like column, like the rows in the country is a column here, but country has different rows. So checking on the distinct on the country, you can see that the total numbers of the table, like the total serial number, is or let me say, like the total numbers or the length of that particular table is 91. But once I was able to use this unique, it reduced to 21. So definitely what make it 91 is, like, a lot of things are being repeated. And now checking it now, although for country, it's not, some of them are not really repeated, but it's just like if there is a store somebody patronize, or like if there is a store or there is a product where people want to sell, and there is different country that they consider, or probably country where those people from that country are making an order of that particular product, and it's being traveled, it's being sent from one place to the other. So there are some country that will keep coming, like keep coming to get the product, or get what so like the country may come multiple times. I think it's normal, but it's just like if you are trying to check some other parts, and because country cannot be a single one, and all these countries are just being used over times from the data set. So, and you can see them here, you can see that this has a unique of 21 instead of 91. So let me try to do something else. Let me use city and see what will happen. So okay, so using the city to try to check if there's a unique value from the city, and I'm able to see that we have 96 unique value. So this 69, they are just like city that are not being repeated in the whole in the table. But when we check on country, we can see that there is a lot of a lot of repeated value in country. So if I try it again, so let me just try to go back. So we can see that the basic reason why we use these things is just like to eliminate duplicates. It's going to give like some certain, it's just going to give like the real value, instead of giving you like the duplicated version. So we also have where, we also have SQL where, and what this where clauses uses, like the main function of where clauses is just to, the main function is to just filter the data set, or just show, like just use for condition most of the time. You can see here the where clause is used to filter. So basically, when anytime you are using the where clause, you are trying to filter a record, and it is used to extract only those records that fulfill a specific condition. So it just also works in form of condition as well. So when you are trying to get some things, you need to show. So if especially when you are making some of dis your analysis, you are trying to analyze, like we already know how to do filtering in Microsoft Excel. I'm not sure if I saw something like that in Power BI, and you can also filter in with Python as well. So where clauses just help you to just show like a condition that you want to filter. Let me see if there is an example here. So this is just like, let's start from customer where country is equals to Mexico. You can see now they may be interested in just the only sales in Mexico, and for you to be able to get that, you have to write the condition just like what I'm trying to do here. So like select star, we already know that select star is like select everything from the table. Den from customer, that is customer is the name of the table. Den select, or okay, after select star from customer table, den where customer equals to Mexico. So if I try to run dis, so we can see here that we've already filtered the whole data set into dis just like 5 records. So we have the contact name, we have the address, we have the city, we have postal code, then we have the country. So these are just like basic things that you need to know, and they are very very important. So that's it, and this is just like the code. And I will also advise us, after the class you can also go to this website and try to read more about SQL because of further classes. So this is just like the syntax: select column one, column two, then from table name, you have to know the table name that you are trying to work with. Then you also need to specify the condition. So I think these are very important. If you are trying to work with just like single rows of data from your table, or if you are looking into 3 column or 4 column, so you just have to write select, put the names of the column, then from the table name, that is what is the table names of the datas that you are, that you want to work with. So then where condition, you have to specify the condition, like where it's going to, maybe like exactly what you are trying to check or try to make, to base your analysis on. So you may really want to know what is going on, or like the condition. So you can see select column. So let me try to, so I've tried this. Let's start from customer where country equals to Mexico. So we filter this by Mexico, and if I click on order by is also another SQL SQL keyword. So we use the order by keyboard is used to sort the result set in ascending or descending order. So let's start from products, order by price. So the names of the table here is products, and we are trying to select everything, then order by this. So It can be in the ascending order or descending order, but I will just try to run it now. So let's start from product, order by price. So the stuff should base on price. So now we can see that this table, like the query based on it, order it by, so it order the whole table by price, which is like price has some numbers, and you can see that this starts with 2.5, and you can see that 2.5 is the smallest from this. uh so 2.5 is the smallest for this price. So it's going from ascending to descending. So we can make our order by to be ascending, or we can also make it descending. So it's just like the value that you are targeting will be the main column for, just like order by. So, and because this one is just like price, we can easily use it, and it started from lowest to, so we can see that the first one is 2.5, 4.5. So it just keep going up like that. And you can use order by supply ID. So now we've used select star from product, order by category ID. So now if I try to run this, we can see here that now this category ID has been the one, like it started from one, and you can see two. So it has already aligned everything in form of that order, in form of that hierarchy, from the smallest to the highest. So what order by is just like, the function of order by is just to put it in, uh okay, does it use indentation too? No. The person asking for indentation, what is it called? SQL is not using indentation. SQL don't really use indentation. It's not like Python that when your indentation is not correct, SQL omits so many errors. So even if you are not writing it, you are writing the correct thing, but you are not putting it in a way you should put it. At times it will end up running. So it's not like Python that when you do slight mistake, you are going to just destroy everything. So this does not really follow indentation, but it's nice if there's a good way you can write it so that your code can be readable. But basically we are not really using indentation here. So just like, and in SQL is actually very simple. So let's start from product. The names of this particular, the names of this table is product, and we are order it by category. So what we are trying to do here is like selecting start from product, then we are order it by category. And you can see here, I can also change it to be, okay, let me go with order by product ID instead of category ID. So now we can see that product ID now started from one, two, three, depending on what you are trying to order by, and at times you may try to specify if it is ascending or descending order. So we also have SQL and operator. So the SQL and operator, we have the where clause can contain one or many and operator. Then the and operator is used to filter record based on more than one condition. So if you want to return all customer from Spain and start with the letter G. So just like here, we have uh, and we have where and we also have and most of them are used. Where is just like to specify a condition of, just like where something is equals to something. And this, and anytime you are using and, if you are providing two condition, the two must be right, because if you are using and one is right and the second is wrong, so it's not going to make it work. So and is also used to filter, and is also used for filtering as well. Okay, somebody is asking if SQL is not case sensitive. You can either use small letter or use capital letter, so it's not really case sensitive. If I want to put this my select in small letter, it's going to work. So even if I put this from also in small letter, it's still going to work. If I put this where in small letter, it's still going to work. So it's not, SQL is not case sensitive like that. So select star from customer where country equals to Spain and customer name like G percentage. So what he's trying to do here, we are using this star select star, that is everything, every details inside the table called customer. That's why we are using select star from customer, that is everything inside the customer table, then where country equals to Spain. So we are targeting country equals to Spain. So where the country is equals to Spain, and also customer name like G percentage, that is any value that has G. So so if I try to run this now, you can see that customer ID 2930, you can see customer name, contact. What we are trying to use here as country is Spain. So when we check the country, you will see that the only country that we can see is Spain, because that is what we specify in our condition here. And customer name, so customer name is G percentage. It's just like any customer name. So what, any customer name that has G, and this can be like maybe like G start the letter, or it has G. So what this G percentage mean is, most of the time it will be like the contact name or the value that G stands for. Maybe like G is just like part of the element of the names under that customer name. So we can see here, you can also use and, like after using and you can also use or. So and is very essential when you must, when you are using and, the two condition must be like the two condition must be true. So if one condition is true and the second is not true, it's not going to work. But when you are using or as your if you are using or as your operator, just like here, the where clause can contain one or more or operator. So if you are using or, if one condition is true and the second is false, it's still going to recognize one, maybe like true or false. But if you are using and the twos are one is false and one is true, it's going to pick everything to be false. So here the all operator is used to filter record based on more than one condition, like you want to return all customer from Germany but also those from Spain. So this is just like an example. Select star from customer where country equals to Germany or country equals to Spain. So in this, let's try to run it. So we can see here that our main target here is Germany and also Spain. So if we try to check on here on the if we try to check on the country, we will see that the only two that we are seeing is Germany and Spain. So it's able to like show the two, but most of the time it may only recognize just one instead of the two. So that's just like you trying to you trying to that's like that's why all is actually good. If we are writing a condition and you are using and, if the two condition is not true, it's not going to show. But now this all can either favor one, like can either work with one or just position the two together, just like the way this is. We also have SQL notes. So we also have notes. I would just advise us to just pick this up and try to read them and go through them and be able to get some basic things. So we also have insert. Insert is also like another keyword, and what insert does is used to insert new record in table. So insert into syntax. It is important to write the insert into statement in two ways. So specify both the column name and the value to be inserted. So this is just like a source code for doing that. So this is uh this is just like the syntax for doing that. And you also have SQL non-value. So this is just like in form of missing value. If you want to check if there's a missing value from your data, you can make use of is null or is not null operator in your data set. You can also update on your SQL. You can check for the missing value. You can also update. You can do so many things with your SQL. Like once you are able to grab the basics, once you understand it, you can easily do anything that you want to do with it. So you can do anything that you want to do. So you can update, you can delete, you can select stuff. We can even do aggregate. We can check on count. Let me see, or let me click on mean and maximum. So you can use the mean to check on the minimum value, maybe like in a certain rows, or let me just say column. So you may want to check a certain value that is the lowest in terms of the rows of the column. Then you can also check on the maximum, and this is just like a straightforward, like select mean price then from product. So this mean we check on the minimum price, and you can also use maximum to get this. So we can see that select max price from product. So what this is just trying to do is we are trying to get the the price of, like we are trying to check on the maximum price or the minimum price, and this the price that is higher, and we can even use that price to trace the product that has the highest price, or to check the product that has the least price. So we can also use count, which is SQL count function. The SQL uh count function. So what can't help you to do is just to count the, it may be just like the count function return the numbers of rows that matches a specific query. So it may be in form of the total number, find the total numbers of rows in. So we may want to check the total numbers of rows in a certain column, and this column here is product. So we are trying to, okay, the, let me run this to have, so we can see here that checking for the count here is able to count, like using this particular function select count open bracket times from product. So it's able to count everything, which we have like 77. So we use that to just check for, you can also work with sum, like you can also check for sum, like we can check on the total. Sum is just used to add things together. You can also check on the average as well. You can check on the average, we can check on, like these are a lot of things here that I may not be able to touch them round, but if you can just try your best to read more about them too, and you can also practice it on this their platform. So next class I will be using BigQuery to, because of the installation of MySQL, and I can also try to use MySQL. I don't really know, but it's either we use BigQuery or I use MySQL. So we'll be able to create a table on ourselves. Like it's in two form. You can create a table, write it on query by yourself to just like structure some data inside a table, and you can also download some data and also import it to be able to work with it. So that's just how it is. So these are just like basic things. We have group by, we have safe join. Although some of them are, there are some that they are advanced, and I won't really advise you to, especially all this inner joint, left hand, self join, union, group by, okay. Some of them are advanced topics that you need to take your time before you really understand how it's being done properly. But before then, you can pick up some of all this and try to learn them and practice them. So you can try to lay our hands on some of all this. You can just try to work with it within this environment, so that by next class I'm going to be using either BigQuery, because all of them they work the same way, just like the names of the software is differs. So the same query is still the same query. If you use MySQL, it's still the same query that you write, that you're going to write using BigQuery, or using MongoDB, or using any kind of database of your choice. It's still the same thing, but the main thing is understanding the basics of how to communicate with it, and also how to write query. So this is where I'm going to stop it tonight. So see us tomorrow.